the never-ending, cynical, and disturbing misuse of the 2,000-year-old rabbi, Jesus, the distortion of his life, the distortion of everything about him, that's the part that is so irritating to me. I mean, it's just so irritating. And they dehumanized him in order to make him less powerful. That's the part that gets me. By taking away his humanity and giving him divinity, they make it crazy. You know, the church, the early church, the people who were writing about this rabbi, I think mostly of Paul, of course he did most of the damage, Timothy, some of the other apostles, by denying the humanity and assigning this guy, Jesus, with divinity, if they were the ones that did it, I think that they were part of this cult, they made him weaker. They made the followers weaker. You see, you can never emulate or live up to a sky spook, you know, a creature from the infinite, whatever, you know, the Son of God. Woo! Uh-oh, watch out. But you can emulate and live an honorable life by modeling the behavior of a real human being, someone who does good work, someone who respects and honors the poor, and and Jesus, according to what was written about him, made it very clear many times about how he felt about rich people. Insofar as he was able to despise, he despised them. I mean, how do I know that? Because he mocked them constantly. I mean, forever. When his disciples would come to him and say, you know, what are we supposed to do? What about wealth? You know, you've been to Sunday school. Do you think he was kidding? Do you think these remarks that were written down by this guy who said, I'm sure he was speaking metaphorically, easier to pass a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Why did he say that? Because he didn't like rich people, hated them. He was a radical. He was a sandal-wearing a radical who was in favor of, he was a carpenter. He was in favor of the poor people, the powerless. So when you see some pig, an utter disgusting pig like Rush Limbaugh, start to dump that on his brain dead audience, you know, what would Jesus tell you about taxes? You know, all this garbage that he comes up with. I don't know. You know, Jesus was, if anything, a socialist. And if you want to get really into it, probably a communitarian. And if you want to take that to the next level, a communist! He was a small businessman, right? Oh, my God. But they just do it, and the assignment of supernatural divinity, I think, was calculated, it was evil, and it was necessary. Because the message was too, if it would have caught on, you see, if that message of suffer the, no, as you did to these, the least of you, you did it to me, you know, to clothe the naked and feed the hungry and visit those in the prisons and take care of your brothers and sisters and be nice and turn the other cheek. When do you hear an evangelical preacher talking that? You don't. Ever. Because the whole message, the whole thing has been so distorted, so corrupted, so turned into dirt. And all the preachers who just get wealthy. I live here in the buckle of the Bible Belt, and As we travel out through rural Georgia like we did on Saturday to go pick strawberries at one of these huge strawberry farms. And as we drive out, we drive past these monuments to self-adulation, these monuments to fear and trembling and disgust and money and avarice and greed and all that stuff. They're called churches. Great big-ass churches. I mean, woo! You haven't seen churches until you've been in the South. I'm not talking about cathedrals. I know up north and northeast, you got all these big old Catholic or mostly Catholic cathedrals. You don't find those here in the South so much, but what you do find are these huge temples of insanity that are the Protestant churches, Methodist and Baptist and Presbyterian and so on and so forth. And every time we drive by one of those, I used to, I don't anymore. There's nothing worse than unnecessary repetition, right? But I used to bring it up with Kathy. Just, can you imagine that building, that land, the construction must have run $7-8 million, maybe 10. That is so anti-Jesus. It just is. But it doesn't matter. The whole Christ story has nothing to do with salvation. Nothing. It has to do now with power. It has to do with power, ego, greed. What's this what is it? Prosperity gospel? Prosperity gospel. Oh God. That's another one we have here in the South. Woo! Do we have them in the South? That God, these half-witted morons, black and white, who stand up in front of the terminally brain dead and say, God or Jesus never wanted you to be poor. Really? Really? Is that? Oh, I see. Okay. And you have all these big churches now, these mega churches with investment clubs. Oh my God. An investment club. Prosperity gospel. Hallelujah. They really did. They took a perfectly good story. Not the divine part, not the Christmas in the Middle East when it's supposed to be icy ass cold. Oh no, shepherds were abiding their flocks. All that crapola. Not that. But here it is. Story of this guy. You can call him anything you want. You can give him a name. Every generation, or at least every 10th generation, or every 100th generation, produces somebody like this. Who's wise, compassionate, understanding. The kind of people that the Christians and the capitalists and the conservatives and the teabaggers hate. Are you kidding me? Ayn Rand hated that kind of stuff. Now, of course, Ayn Rand was an atheist, but she was the worst kind of atheist. It was not so much that she hated religion, she hated the teachings. She hated the idea that somewhere locked in to these religions, it's gone now, but somewhere locked into them was the idea of compassion, justice, understanding, love. Oh, she hated that. So it was, Ayn Rand is the type that gives atheists a horrible name. I cast her out. I cast her out of atheism. Get out! Be gone! I'll send her soul into the bodies of pigs is what I'll do. But it is so sad to me to see the perversion that has occurred around this historical figure, this Palestinian Jew who walked around, a couple thousand years ago, just trying to explain to people, you don't have to live like this. You can elevate your vision. You can do that if you want to. And here's how you do it. And it was all based on the Easter Bunny. Okay, that's enough. We'll be right back.